I'm Capital Television's Dave Barber, coming to you from the lovely and most historic stateroom inside the Rhode Island State House. It's March the 7th, 2013, International Women's Day, where women from all over the planet come together to pay tribute to the many social achievements made by women in our society and around the world. In fact, this event today will be recognizing 8 women from the Ocean State, all of whom have made tremendous achievements. Again, too, it'll call to mind the many struggles that women still face today. I think you'll find it interesting, fascinating, and certainly respectful to the many women who have meant so much to our state.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? I'm told it's too hot to close the door, so I'll have to just ask you all to give your attention up here so we can start our program. So good afternoon. Judge, you're supposed to be up here with us. You want to stay where you're at? All right. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Senator Donna Nesselbush, and let me be the first to wish each of you a happy International Women's Day. Welcome to this ornate stateroom for what I hope is our first annual celebration of International Women's Day. International Women's Day was first celebrated in Europe in the early 1900s, and for years, countries throughout the world celebrated women and our struggle for equality in different ways. But in 1977, the United Nations adopted a resolution proclaiming March 8th International Women's Day throughout the world. Today we gather as women and men, and we join in solidarity with others throughout the world to celebrate women's achievement and to demand full equality, politically, economically, and socially. This year, I am pleased to report that more than 1,200 International Women's Day events are planned in 77 countries across the globe, countries as diverse as Afghanistan, Egypt, Haiti, and here. And since there are women leaders here in this room from all 3 branches of government, let me indicate, hint, hint, that in many countries across the world, it is actually a holiday. Now there's an idea for legislation. Today we gather to recognize and celebrate the leading women in all 3 branches of government. All 3 branches of government have gathered here today to celebrate how far we have come and to acknowledge the challenges that remain here at home and across the globe. With women in America achieving greater and greater success in staterooms, courtrooms, and boardrooms, it may be easy for some of us to think that there is little left to be done. I am so amazingly proud of the women who are up here today and Judge McKenna Goldberg, who is in the audience. And because I am so proud of you, that is the reason why I wanted to organize this event today. And it is important to note that your accomplishments far outpace the accomplishments in general of women in American government. Since I am a senator, let me give honorable mention to the Rhode Island Senate and its role in helping some of these women achieve their leadership positions. Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Roberts began her career as a senator, and given the Senate's role in the advice and consent of judges, I thank President Paiva Weed, by the way, the first female president of the Rhode Island Senate, and Majority Whip Goodwin, the first female Majority Whip, for their strong advocacy in support of these really, they were very, very strong supporters of these fine, fair female jurists. Along with Treasurer Raimondo and Speaker Pro Tem Coderre, and clearly one of her greatest accomplishments was giving birth to our very own Tom Coderre. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, these impressive women have achieved leadership roles and leadership in spite of some disheartening statistics, which frankly surprised me when I went to compile them for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, according to this documentary, which is interestingly titled Misrepresentation, M-I-S-S, Misrepresentation, the United States of America ranks 90th in the world in terms of women in national legislatures. In both the U.S. House and Senate, women comprise only 17% of each of those bodies. The equivalent body in Rwanda is 56% female. We can all be very proud that we do better than that here in Rhode Island, where in the executive branch, 2 out of 5 general officers are women, comprising 40%. Women comprise 31% of the Rhode Island Senate, many of whom are here today, and 23% of the Rhode Island House. But ladies and gentlemen, the Rhode Island judiciary is a bastion of girl power. For the first time, we have women chiefs in all 3 of our trial courts, with Maureen McKenna Goldberg as the lone woman jurist on our Supreme Court. She is the only female among 5 Supreme Court judges. In the Superior Court, 38% of our judges or magistrates are women, 44% in the Family Court, and the District Court tops us out with 46% women judges or magistrates. Let's have a round of applause for that. The wage gap for many women stubbornly persists, and women are merely 3% of Fortune 500 CEOs. But ladies and gentlemen, as good or bad as things look here in America, part of the point of International Women's Day is for us to look abroad and join hands with our sisters. Globalism is upon us, and the world has gotten much smaller, especially with all of today's social media and communications. Today, we see the reality of our sisters in other countries like never before. In 2012, we saw a woman in India, indeed, raped to death on a public bus. And there are parts of the world where women still die in childbirth, where girls are abandoned in favor of boys, or sold off into marriage, or worse yet, sexual slavery. So while all of us here continue our work for equality, dignity, and human rights, we must support our sisters, and we must hope that the next wave of feminism embraces Africa, Asia, Afghanistan, and the Arab world. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we turn to our honorees. We owe these women, and the many women who came before them, a debt of gratitude, for in their accomplishment lies our promise. I thank each of you for the role that you played, either directly, Madam President, or indirectly for the others, in my actually even standing here today. A woman never stands taller than when she stoops to help another woman. I will now honor Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Roberts, who will then stand in for the governor, who is not able to be here today, but Jameel McDonald is here with us as well, and Lieutenant Governor Roberts will laud the other honorees. But before I do so, let me give honorable mention to Rob Rainville and Alex and Ani for creating the gift that each of the honorees will receive today. Each of you will receive Alex and Ani's Because I'm a Girl charm, and on International Women's Day, we recognize the creative genius and success of our very own Carolyn Rafaelian, the founder of Alex and Ani, now one of the fastest growing companies in America, whose innovative charms inspire women worldwide. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and honor to laud the Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Roberts, who served for 10 years in the Rhode Island Senate, before being elected the first woman ever in the history of Rhode Island to hold the office of Lieutenant Governor. She has been a strong leader, particularly in the area of healthcare. She spearheaded the creation of the Office of Health Insurance Commissioner, and she is now the chairwoman of the Rhode Island Healthcare Reform Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, she is now finishing her second and final term as Lieutenant Governor, and I know you all join me in anxiously awaiting what will undoubtedly be a next step in which she will continue her leadership and success. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Roberts.
Well, it's a privilege to be here in my really fancy computer. Just started again. Thought it was going to fail me. So Donna, thank you so much. Senator Nesselbush, I apologize.
Donna's just fine.
For organizing today's ceremony, and what a great opportunity for us to take a moment and really reflect on accomplishments. And what a local success story with Carolyn Raffelian and Alex Anani and their generosity today in providing something special for us to remember this occasion by. I bring greetings, as was said, from Governor Chafee, who couldn't join us. And it's a great moment to pause and reflect on International Women's Day, celebrated since the early 1900s, when it wasn't as easy as it is today to be a woman. Although over 100 years later, as I look at my colleagues and other accomplished women in the room, I would say we still face a few challenges in the work that we get done. But we also have shown that we can be successful. And it's why observances like this are so important. It forces us to take a moment from being executives and officials, judges and legislators, working women, single women, stay-at-home mothers, to reflect on our accomplishments, but not rest on our laurels. To remember how we got here and those who came before us. To honor the woman or women who impacted our lives and inspired each of us. Those who made our paths a little easier and who opened the doors for us along the way. There are certainly women in this room who have done that for me. To recognize and acknowledge that there are scores of women, even in our own state, who still struggle. And to ask ourselves how we can help the girls and women who are coming up now and those who will come after us. As we celebrate International Women's Day in Rhode Island, as we celebrate each other, let us not forget that there are women everywhere, here in Rhode Island and around the world, who still need our support. So it is really, I think, a special occasion to look at each other, to congratulate each other, to thank each other for the support that we offer, sometimes informally and sometimes very formally and specifically, and to realize that we owe a great deal to those who came before us, but also a great deal to those who will come after us. And it is our responsibility to help pave that way, to offer that personal hand and that personal gesture of support whenever we are able to do so. So I'm going to perhaps go slightly out of order because I know people will be coming and going. And my first opportunity, and it's a great personal pleasure for me, is to recognize Senate President M. Teresa Paiva-Weed. She is the first woman president of the Rhode Island Senate and was also the first woman Senate Majority Leader, and I will add, the first woman chair of a major committee in the Senate as chair of the Judiciary Committee. She was first elected in 1992 and has been instrumental in the passage of major legislation addressing issues such as the Family Independence Act, the Domestic Violence Prevention Act, the restructuring of the Victims' Compensation Fund, education reform, the property tax cap, and more. And now, as one of the two major leaders in our very important legislative branch of government, she really leads the way in a very challenging but very rewarding environment. And congratulations, it's an honor to work with you. Next, I'd like to recognize Chairman Elaine Coderre, who was first elected to the Rhode Island House of Representatives in 1984 and is the longest-serving member of the House. She is House Speaker pro tempore and a member of the House Oversight and House Rules Committee. Representative Coderre has championed legislation pertaining to domestic violence prevention, programs for those with disabilities, and health care. Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Maureen McKenna Goldberg is a justice of the Rhode Island Supreme Court. First appointed to the Superior Court in 1990, she was appointed to the Supreme Court in 1997. Prior to serving as a jurist, Justice Goldberg began her professional career as a prosecutor in the Department of the Attorney General. And I first met her actually in her very important role working for my brother-in-law, Attorney General Dennis Roberts. She rose through the ranks there to serve as administrator of the criminal division before entering private practice in 1984. Congratulations, and thank you for all that you've done for us.
Well, I've been trying to hide the brown box, but basically the cat's out of the bag.
Judge Alice B. Gibney is the presiding justice of the Rhode Island Superior Court. Prior to her appointment as presiding justice, she worked as a law clerk, a practicing attorney, an assistant U.S. district attorney, and a commissioner of the Workers' Compensation Commission before being named an associate justice of the Superior Court in 1984. And I have to tell a funny story that she just told me, which is recently when at a professional office visit, when someone quite young looked at her and was looking at her medical record and said, "You still work?" So, Judge Gibney, well, thank you for your service.
I'm sorry, there you go, enjoy your bracelet.
Ganesh R. Bedrosian is the Chief Judge of the Rhode Island Family Court. Prior to being appointed Chief Judge, she served as an Associate Justice of the Court for 30 years. Prior to serving as a jurist, Judge Bedrosian was an elementary school teacher and college teacher, a law clerk, and a practicing attorney. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Donna, this is yours. Thank you. You really are a role model. I love it.
Jean Marie LaFazia is the Chief Judge of the Rhode Island District Court. Prior to her appointment to the bench, she was a private practice attorney at the Gunning and LaFazia firm for over 20 years. She was appointed an Associate Judge of the District Court in 2002 and a Chief Judge in 2010. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
I'm now going to ask the Senate President, Teresa Paiva-Weed, who I think is going to have the challenging job of recognizing so many of the very capable women who are joining us here today. And as I sit down, I'd just like to take a moment to once again congratulate the women who are here in the front, who have just served for so faithfully and for so many years, and often, especially for some who have been in, and I look at those who have been perhaps 30 years in some of our government systems that have not always been as welcoming to women as we find them today. They have really paved a very, very important path, not only for those of us who follow them, but for those that we serve, who really look to our institutions and want to see their face looking back. That is a government that we trust, one that reflects the community we serve. Thank you all for everything that you do.
All right, if I've got to do all this, I'm getting up a little high. Well, as you all heard, the percentages aren't there yet, but there are quite a few issues that really are priorities for women that pass this General Assembly under the leadership of men. So I want to point out, particularly because it's being televised, that we've had a number of our male colleagues coming and going today, and I want to introduce all the members of the General Assembly are here. And then they've given me, just so you know, replete with papers and napkins. I'm going to try and get through everything. So I want you to first take the time to recognize my colleague in government who for the last 9 years has worked side by side with me, ask him to step forward, and has been my team partner and responsible for so much of what has come out of this building, Speaker Gordon Fox. Speaker. That being said, I have a number of senators here, and then I've got the House members too. So I want to recognize that Senator Ruggiero, I believe, has left, our majority leader, but he was here earlier. Majority Whip Senator Mary Ellen Goodwin. I'd ask you to please rise as I recognize you. Chairwoman of the Education Committee, Senator Gallo. Senator Erin Lynch. Chair of our Rules Committee, Senator Lynch. Senator Crowley. Two of our newest senators who I'm thrilled with. First, Senator Cool-Rumsey. Senator Golden. Now, I want to specifically recognize Senator Fogarty and the better half, of course, his wife, Nancy Fogarty. Senator Sheehan. Senator Pichardo. Senator Pichardo. Senator Miller. Senator Miller. Senator Picard. And now for House members. Oh, there you are, Senator Sosnowski. Not on my list. Just so everyone knows, Senator Sosnowski is the chair of the Environment, and somebody didn't put her name on my list, so there. I certainly saw her. Now I'd like to recognize from the House side, Representative Serpa. Leader Mattiello. My own rep, Representative Ruggiero. Some new faces from the other side, Representative Kazarian. Representative McLaughlin. Representative Keeble. Representative Ackerman. Representative Diaz, Gracie. Representative Williams. Representative Fiala. Representative Craven. Representative Giarrusso. Representative Duffy Messier. Representative Hearn. Did I get all the electeds? Wow. Oh, Representative Finn, one of my own Newport County. I also want to take a moment to recognize one of our strongest women in government, someone who has taken a troubled agency and really turned it around. The Director of DEM, Janet Coit, is with us today. I want to recognize a number of organizations, and I'd ask if the folks that are here stand, because you play such important roles here at the State House. The National Organization of Women, and we'll applaud all of you at the end. National Organization of Women, the YWCA, Marriage Equality, Planned Parenthood, Ocean State Action, and of course, the one who we sometimes think is part of us, Elizabeth Burke Bryan and Kids Count. And finally, I want to, before I close, recognize Sandra Lake, who is the program coordinator for the Extraordinary Woman Award. Sandra, thank you for your assistance. Finally, in closing, this is too good a photo op to turn down, and I see former Representative Kushner here. I see a number of women here, all that bear recognizing. We do want to take a photo op, so please all come to the front, but give each and every one of yourselves a round of applause, and congratulations, Senator Nesselbush, on organizing this today. Thank you. Once again, for those of you who didn't hear me, I do want a special round of applause for Senator Donna Nesselbush, who really took this challenge on.
Yeah, and there are refreshments in the hallway. Thank you all for coming. I hope it's the first annual, so we'll be back next year. But in the meantime, please go enjoy some refreshments. Thank you.
Pictures.
Pleased to have one of the women that plays an important role here in the General Assembly, our good friend Pat Serpa. And Representative, tell us about your journey as a woman to elected office.
Thank you, Dave, for asking the question. I never dreamed for 1 minute growing up as a little girl in West Warwick that I would have the privilege and the honor here. I'm a former school teacher, a little Catholic school girl, and every day I come to this place and I am in awe and I am honored by the 5,000 people who voted to send me here, and I never forget that for a moment.
Well, I know I speak for a lot of people in saying thank you, not only for being a woman, but for being a person that contributes so much to the General Assembly. It's quite an honor for all women who serve in public service, and I thank you for taking time to speak with us.
Thank you, Dave, very much. Thank you.
We have one of the women recognized with this special award on International Women's Day, the Dean of the Rhode Island House of Representatives, and a representative from my community of Pawtucket, Representative Elaine Coderre. It has to be a special day, not only for your work in the General Assembly, but for being a woman and a mother and a wife.
It is, and a grandmother. It is definitely a very special day. And all these fabulous women I've worked with, learned from, and it was also very nice to see former Representative Linda Kushner here, who was one of my mentors when I was a freshman.
Well, I have to tell you, living in your community of Pawtucket, the people there send you back to public office again and again. And when you first started this journey, there weren't as many women in public office as there are now. You have to feel good about the progress that's being made.
I do feel good. I looked at the list last night. I ran and was elected in 1984. There were 5 women elected, 4 other women elected with me, so the 5 of us joined 10 other women at the House at the time. And that was when the numbers were 100 members. So we're moving along.
Well, and I'll tell you something else. From what I'm told among your colleagues, you're always willing to help. You're always willing to share advice and counsel. You give back not only to your community, but to your colleagues in the House. That makes you a leader. That makes you special. Thanks for talking to us, and congratulations on being recognized.
Thank you so much, Dave. And it was really wonderful to have the majority leader and the speaker here as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Senator Donna Nesselbush, who really was responsible for spearheading and organizing this event here in Rhode Island. And it's my understanding, Senator, this is the first time in the Ocean State where we've actually had a ceremony and special reception in honor of International Women's Day.
Yes, Dave, to my knowledge, this is the first of what I hope will be an annual celebration of International Women's Day. We have so much to be proud of in the state of Rhode Island. As I said during my remarks, our statistics here locally in Rhode Island as to how women do in government actually far surpass the national statistics. So we're proud and pleased about that, and we want to make sure that our viewers and everybody knows about that.
Well, and I'll tell you what, and that was a great point that you made, and we certainly should be proud of that. But we must never take our eye off the prize because the struggle continues.
Well, Dave, the numbers are good, but they're not that good. As I mentioned, nationally, only 17% of the U.S. Senate and Congress are women, and here locally in Rhode Island, we're somewhere between 30 and 40%. So there's still plenty of room for improvement. And of course, the issue that bothers me most, and is probably one of the reasons why I wanted to organize this, is the very painful issue here in Rhode Island, in our country, and of course globally, and that is violence against women. Women, unfortunately, can be hurt in a special way, and until that is ameliorated, I will not rest.
And also, when you look at the economy and jobs, unfortunately, women still earn less than men, And that is clearly a discriminatory act against women by corporate America. Thank goodness for things like the Lilly Ledbetter Act.
Yes, yes, women still earn less than men for the same jobs. There still is pay inequity. As I said,